people watch a TV duel of German Chancellor Merkel of the CDU with her challenger, the top candidate of the SPD in the upcoming German general elections. Steinbrück, at a cultural center in Berlin. Chancellor Angela Merkel and her Social Democrat challenger in this month's German general election clashed over the euro, tax policy, and U.S. spying in a television debate on Sunday that produced no clear winner. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? The only TV duel of the campaign, watched by an estimated 15 million viewers, was one of SPD candidate Pierre Steinbrück's last chances to change the momentum in a race in which he has trailed the popular Merkel from the very start. We'll have more news on the CBS World News Roundup coming up in a few minutes on this edition of First Cup. What do you say we take a quick break, give my choppers a chance to get some rest, because I've been talking virtually nonstop for a half hour. And when we come back, we'll have a look at the nationwide weather forecast. You, my friend, are listening to your First Cup of the day with yours truly, Joe Haffner.
You'd be loving this, mate, wouldn't you?
Have you witnessed anything like this? Anybody can report this behaviour.
Hey guys, can I get a hand for a sec?
I thought you lesbians were supposed to be as good as us blokes.
No matter how subtle,
Hey princess, where's your tiara today?
they are all forms of sexually based harassment. If you know someone's prejudices have got out of hand or have become inappropriate, do something about it.
Dear parents, much of what we learn in this world comes directly from you.
Whatever your message is, it will become part of us forever.
Please teach us to accept one another. Teach us to respect one another. Please do not fill our minds with hatred. Do not expose us to bigotry. Do not teach us to judge each other by race, religion, orientation, or the color of our skin.
Teach us the concept of tolerance.
Teach us to understand one another.
Teach us to accept people of different cultures and persons with different beliefs than yours.
Please help us to create a world
where every man, woman, and child is treated equally.
Dear parents,
please don't teach us words of hate. We learn from you every moment. If you use a certain word which might be hurtful to others, we will repeat that word. Please don't show us acts of hate. If you act against people of different faiths,
we will repeat your actions.
Dear parents, we are your children,
and we are relying on you
to help us create a world where every person is tolerant of one another.
Hi, I'm Bev Randalls, chairman of the Missouri Club for Growth. If you're like most people, you've had enough of wasted tax dollars and inefficient government. It's no surprise independent polling consistently finds that Americans believe at least half of our federal tax dollars are wasted every year. Here in Missouri, our state legislature is working to cut waste and grow our economy by passing the first major tax reform in nearly 100 years. This tax reform will benefit all Missourians by creating new jobs and letting us keep more of our hard-earned money to spend as we see fit. Put simply, tax reform means economic growth, and growth means more money and more opportunities for more Missouri families. If you agree, we need your help. Visit growmissouri.com today to tell our elected officials stop wasting our tax dollars and start focusing on jobs and the economy. That's growmissouri.com.
Paid for by Missouri Club for Growth PAC.
For one of my favorite TV shows of my childhood, Airwolf, on this edition of First Cup. And I goofed up. I don't have today's nationwide weather forecast, so I won't be reading that for you at this particular time. I'm sorry. But it's a holiday, so chances are you've probably already traveled to where you're going to be on this Labor Day anyway, so you don't need me to read the weather forecast. So we won't be doing that, will we? But what we will be doing, in just a few moments, is celebrity birthdays. And I forgot to load the birthday music, so I'll do that right now while this is playing. And hopefully it will load pretty fast. I'm having some internet issues this morning. A lot of people tapping in on my bandwidth, I think. So we're going to stall for time, wait for the card to load. Nothing like depending upon one computer to do all of this. I could use my Nook HD reader, email this to it and read it off of that, but this is way more fun because I'm saving a lot of time by stalling for time, trying to get this thing to load in time so I can do birthdays before they become yesterday's news. And there we go. It's finally ready. Here we go. It's time for celebrity birthdays, my friends.
Damn it, Jim, what the hell's the matter with you? Other people have birthdays. Why are we treating yours like a funeral?
Bones, I don't want to be lectured.
Ooh, yeah. Very, very many happy reasons.
And it's time for celebrity birthdays on this, the second day of September 2013. Small list, but here we have them. Al Spalding, also Camille Grammer, and teacher and almost astronaut Krista McAuliffe was born on this date in 1948. Eric Dickerson, along with Harvey Levin, Cat Williams, Canal Reeves. One of my favorite actors, Mark Herman, turns 60 today. Plays Agent Gibbs on NCIS. Turns the big 6-0 today. Salma Hayek, wow, she's celebrating a birthday today, as is former Pittsburgh Steeler and a much better quarterback, one of the best in history, Terry Bradshaw, all celebrating birthdays today. Those are just a few of the celebrity birthdays that we have for you on this second day of September 2013. And if you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday. Well, let's see. What do we do next? How about a little bit of today in history, shall we? Let's go back in time here. All right, that looks like a good place to cut her off. So we'll switch it over to the overmodulated levels of the Associated Press and find out what happened on this date in history.
September 2nd, 1945. World War II officially ends, 6 years and a day after the fighting began. That's when Japan formally surrenders to the Allies on board the USS Missouri in Tokyo Bay. President Harry Truman tells Americans,
"The evil done by the Japanese warlords can never be repaired or forgotten. But their power to destroy and kill has been taken from them."
1944. A year before the war ends, future President George H.W. Bush, then a U.S. Navy pilot, sees combat in the Pacific. Bush is forced to bail out of his plane, hit by Japanese anti-aircraft fire during a bombing run. He is rescued by an American submarine a few hours later. 1864. During the American Civil War, Union General William T. Sherman's forces occupy Atlanta ahead of a devastating march to Savannah, Georgia. 1666. The Great Fire of London begins in a baker's shop in Pudding Lane near the Thames River. Its flames destroy thousands of homes in the medieval English city, but few lives. 1969. With the Vietnam War still raging, Ho Chi Minh, leader of Communist North Vietnam, dies at age 78. That happens nearly 25 years after Ho declares Vietnam's independence, and 5.5 years before the country is reunified under communist rule. And 1985, a joint U.S.-French expedition discovers the wreckage of the Titanic, more than 70 years after the luxury liner sinks in the North Atlantic. They find the ship more than 1,200 feet underwater, more than 560 miles off Newfoundland, Canada. Today in history, September 2nd. Camille Bohannon, The Associated Press.
I remember roughly the time the Titanic was rediscovered, and boy, did that spawn a lot of Jacques Cousteau specials. Remember Jacques Cousteau was always on TBS back in the 80s and early 90s? Well, it's time for Friday's market information. As we enjoy the holiday, find out what happened in markets yesterday. Stocks closed slightly lower, ending the worst month for the market in more than a year. Dow Jones Industrials fell 30 points to close at 14,810. The broader S&P 500 index fell 5 points, closing at 1,632, so down slightly from Thursday's close. The Nasdaq Composite fell 30 points, closing at 3,589. The market's reaction to speeches from Secretary of State John Kerry and President Barack Obama about Syria was muted. Traders also digested a report from the U.S. Commerce Department that showed Americans' income and spending barely rose in July. The S&P 500 fell 3.1% in August, the biggest decline since May of 2012, when it fell nearly 6.5%. However, the index is up 15% for the year. And that, my friends, is a brief report on market information from Friday's numbers. And now, with the latest in market information from around the world, we join American Public Radio. And then right after that, we'll switch things over to the CBS World News desk for the World News Roundup for this Monday. So stick around, my friends. More fun and shenanigans is on the way.
This one is stupidity on steroids.
What do you know, Governor?
This Marketplace podcast is supported by Mozy Cloud Backup. Protect your critical files with maximum security from Mozy Cloud Backup and securely access them anywhere, including your smartphone or tablet. Visit mozy.com to learn more.
We have a story about an impending $130 billion deal and what Verizon Wireless is doing with all the cash its subscribers send each month.
Marketplace Morning Report is produced in association with the University of Southern California.
From APM in New York, I'm David Brancaccio with the global perspective on business and economics. Sources are telling Reuters today that a giant deal in the telecom industry could come as early as today. Verizon Wireless is about to buy back a large piece of itself from Europe's Vodafone. Investment bankers who are brokering the deal will be especially pleased with their cut of the gargantuan price tag, $130 billion. That's more than the entire GDP of Hungary, by the way. Verizon Wireless customers will be pleased that all that money they send the company each month is enough to do a deal of this size. Giyani Dunarain is a London-based telecommunications industry analyst with the consulting company Gartner. Ms. Dunarain, good morning.
Good morning, David.
This is a colossally sized deal, if it indeed goes through. Why do you think Verizon Wireless would want to spend the money for this?
Well, Verizon has been doing really well, especially in the past 24 months, in particular after the launch of LTE, being first to market and having been able to reach so many subscribers, increase their adoption of LTE. So they are in the best possible position now, especially taking into account their market valuation, to be able to spend that money. And from a strategic perspective, they do see themselves now independent and being able to really, drive their own strategy.
$130 billion. I just read in the Wall Street Journal that that's more than double the state budget of New Jersey. Have you ever seen numbers like this in your life?
I haven't. Having said that, one thing we need to take into account is, first, they will only get about $100 billion, not $130 billion, right? Because of taxes. Are they going to invest all that $100 billion? No, they are not, because they need to do other things. They need to give some of those shareholders a bit of dividends. Then they will also probably use it to pay off a bit of their debt. And then whatever is left, you can start going on your, buying spree.
So it's amazing just how $130 billion can get frittered away. Guyani Dunarain is a telecoms analyst at Gartner in London. Ms. Dunarain, thank you very much.